Hi everyone, welcome. This is the reading for the new moon, which is on the 29th of January. So that is Wednesday. And Pacific time, it's 4:36 in the morning, I believe. And this is also the new moon of Wisdom Keeper. This is the clan mother that teaches about the earth and the stone people in particular, recording history, and the also not only that, but also the sacred perspective of each person on their journey. So I know I seem disjointed right now, and I apologize for that. It's because I am trying to take in this reading. So as I was beginning to pull cards and feeling drawn to the specific decks for this reading, it came into me, or it came into my awareness, that there was going to be some messages here from our guides, that this message is for those of us who are looking for some guidance right now. And as I'm saying that, I'm like, well, if you're here, you're watching a tarot and oracle reading, so of course you're here for guidance. But this is more specific to what's happening in our lives. It's more of a encouragement type of message that we need to hear, that, you know, we're on the right path, or that we're going to be okay. So on that note, I'm just going to jump into this reading. So the significator card. Okay, so hold on. I'm going to backtrack a little bit, because I'm using 2 Rider-Waite based decks for the first 2 rows. And in the 3rd row, I decided to pull out these black and white Norse mythology based cards, which I adore this deck. And when I talk about the names of the persons on the cards, I know I'm going to totally mess up how I'm saying their names. So I'm apologizing now in advance. But the point I wanted to make is that the cards that came out with the tarot decks were kind of insane, really, because I pulled out 6 cards. I didn't pull them out. They came out. These are the ones that were selected through Divinity. But 4 of the 6, and I also want to say there were the first 2 in the row were major arcana cards. The 3rd one was a minor arcana, and then in the 2nd row, the first 2 were again major arcana cards, different deck, and then the 3rd card in that row was a minor arcana. So I thought, whoa, there's major life themes happening here. What is going on? Okay, so, and again, you know, take whatever resonates with you, leave the rest. Hopefully that you find this somewhat helpful. But the first card that came up was, and this is a significator card, so this is kind of basically what the reading is all about. And it came up with the moon. So the major arcana card right there. So if you're living in North America, we're in winter right now, and I'm feeling like because there's a lot of stuff happening in the world, uncertainty, but that outside happening in the world is also a reflection of undercurrents, things being exposed, all that. But so many things that we have no control over. So what is it doing? It's also creating rumblings, it's not that it's creating it, but it's part of this whole shift that we're going through right now, our growth. And so for a lot of us, it's creating these internal, subtle, deep rumblings of things needing to change. We know on the outside things need to change, the world at large, but we also have that knowing that it's in us too. We've, been conditioned to live certain ways, and we also, in this whole process, want to bring forth a more authentic part of us. So one where we are truly stepping into our power and leading ourselves forward in a more, empowered way, a more conscious, thoughtful way, where we are not sheep, where we're choosing ways of being that support the whole rather than the individual. So there's this undercurrent of remembering our experiences, traumas, but also good things from our childhood. And it's like through these rememberings, we are selecting, I guess is probably the best word, selecting what we want to bring forth with us into this new stage, into this new cycle. That's a whole lot of energy I'm getting, not just from that card. I wanted to say from that card, but it's not. I am drawing a little bit from other cards in the deck here. So we are still, I know in the last reading I did with the full moon, I said there's a lot of change happening. It's still happening. This isn't something that can happen like in 2 weeks. This is an ongoing thing. So it'll be interesting to see how the readings in the future play out. But the card following that moon card is the Chariot. And there you go. There's the second major arcana card. So the Chariot. I feel like this is about change. This is changing direction, like changing direction in our lives. So perhaps we thought we were on one trajectory and we have plans that we've been wanting to do, but we're doubting it, or we're second guessing that. And we're thinking about changing course. This can also be, so this can be a career. I talked about this last week. I think we had this card last week. The energies feel this, not last week, 2 weeks ago with the full moon. But again, it feels like, but I think these cards, I'd have to go back to the reading, but I think they come up near the end of the reading. Now, this time they're coming up at the beginning. But it could be a move, contemplating just a whole change of location. I'm talking lifestyle, community, everything. With these major arcana cards, yeah, again, I'm repeating myself, but these are life themes. So these are major shakeups. These are major changes in our life. We have the Tower in here too, which is in the next row, and the Wheel of Fortune. So I just gave away what the next row is about. So yeah, the Tower is about, I feel like it's illusions that are falling away. And these illusions, as they are falling away, is creating the effect of changing our course, changing our minds about what we want our life to look like, and to how to be more authentic in it. So it really feels to me like illusions, especially because we're dealing with that moon card. And this card is all about shadow, the shadow self, what motivates us, that causes us to make the decisions we do. And what we're talking about here is fear. I'm jumping around totally in this reading, but I just feel like I have to. So the card that is in the row this way, even though I'm reading this way, and this is how I laid them out, was vertical. Horizontally, that top row is talking about fear. So what is coming to the surface is how we have let fear control us and how we have been choosing for ourselves through fear. That is the illusion that is being shattered, I feel. This is what's creating the change. With this world card being in the middle of the reading, it is talking about the end of a cycle. It's talking about change. It's talking about, and again, the tower is right above that. It feels like this is divinely timed, like this is a evolution within us that is, it's supposed to be happening. So if we are questioning all the little parts of how we live our life, we're supposed to be. And it's kind of an uncomfortable place to be because it's the not knowing, but that's what we're being asked to get comfortable with, is the not knowing. To let go of that illusion of safety or security. And I think also a mindset of being rigid in our thoughts and beliefs about how things should look or be, or how we should look or be. And just allowing ourselves to be more flexible and go with the flow as things change around us. Reminding ourselves of the impermanence of things. And there's so much strength in that flexibility, in that attitude and belief that we're safe and in whatever comes, because we're not really a part of it. We're not nothing is a fixed or static fixture. So the third card in the bottom of that first row, so we have the moon, the chariot, and then the next card is the 5 of Wands. I feel like this card came up as well in the last reading. Again, I'd have to go back and check. There it is there. Just give you a little closer look. And I feel like this is the internal conflict. Again, I feel like this reading is a lot about the internal process because we are dealing with this as that moon card as the significator card. So I feel like this is the internal conflict of, it's like we're doubting ourselves. But again, I feel like the language is really important here to pay attention to. Is it doubt, or is it just asking deeper questions about yourself? Is it asking about what feels true to me? What feels like it is in alignment with my values, my goals, my personal integrity? Where's my comfort level in that journey or that pathway, should I choose it? So I feel like there is a lot of thinking in term. I know this is a wand, it's not a sword, which would be air and more in the mind, but thinking in terms of shifting your focus into what is it that is important to me. This is kind of about purpose. Like, what is my true purpose? Is there something I could be adding to what I'm doing? Or is it a question of digging a little deeper? And I feel like, again, I touched on that, asking deeper questions, but digging a little deeper into oneself. So there's an awareness of touching on an aspect of oneself that has brought you up to this point. But now it's like we're hitting a wall, or we recognize that there's this deeper level we need to go into where some change has to happen or occur. And I don't feel like we're being shown the answers quite yet. It's not the time. I think this is the time of the retrospection, the sitting in stillness. But we know, and part of that, the rumblings is, again, the change is coming. We can feel the change coming within our own lives. Okay, so moving forward here, part of this in the retrospection and the remembering that I had mentioned and choosing what you want to carry forward into this new cycle and what you want to leave behind. So I'm talking beliefs, energies, based on experiences, is the wisdom. And I'm saying that because the third row in the second, or sorry, last card, third card in the second row is the Three of Swords. And to me, this is about the wisdom. This is recognizing our growth that we've had over the last several years that we are carrying with us. So it is choosing to leave behind the stories that we identify with. Let me rephrase that. We're leaving behind, or we're recognizing where we're still attached to the stories. We can keep the stories, but it's the attachment and the role that we believe that we played or that other people played in these experiences. So it's taking the wisdom and the experience, but from a new place of detachment. That's the wisdom we're carrying forward with us. So we're setting ourselves free in a big sense. It will literally change how we think about ourselves or who we believe ourselves to be. All of a sudden, we begin to understand that we're not where we are because of circumstances, but we're here because we chose it. It's changing. It's a shift in that perspective of victim or stepping in to help somebody else, but it's still kind of a victim mentality that, you know, you didn't have a choice but to help, or that you're the perpetrator, but there's still that attachment to it. And we're realizing that we're none of those things. Those people and those situations were there to help us grow. So it's just a new level of emotional maturity, basically, is what we're coming into. That's what we're carrying forward with us. Took me a long time to get around to that point, didn't it? So the next row, I'm moving into the Norse mythology. So the first card that came up, I'm going to say her name wrong. I want to say it is Hel, but it's spelled H-E-L. It's looks like a woman on the card, and she is on a throne, and there's skulls around her. But the little blip underneath her name says Ruler of Fears. There's the card. She's sitting next to the tower, and which is next to the shadow card. So again, I'm moving, sorry, the moon card. So I'm moving across the top now. And that's why I'm saying that it's the shattering of the illusions of how fear has controlled us. Even like we're afraid to make a decision because we're afraid to make a mistake going forward, because we don't want to move back in, we don't want to have repeat an experience. But it's letting go of that attachment that will give us the freedom to make those choices, to trust ourselves that we are in this new, mature, emotionally mature place. We're not the same person. And to pay attention to ourselves, know ourselves better. Underneath that card, we have Frey, spring and new beginnings. So this is part of the change and the rumblings of change. And this card is next to the World card and the Chariot card. So the alignment, the placement of this card is exactly where it needs to be in terms of changing a path, changing where you live, changing a relationship, whatever it is, it's change. And it's the end of a cycle. And here is the beginning of a new one. So in this process of understanding kind of where we're not really at that place where we're kind of in a pause, I want to say, because we're doing that internal work and understanding. So in this space, we're kind of planting seeds in a way, because we're throwing out little energetic feelers into our future and feeling into them as possibilities. And not only that, we might actually be physically going out and checking out things, but I don't think we're making decisions yet. We're you could say fishing in a way, that we're throwing out the lines, we're seeing what kind of catches. But that's kind of arbitrary, because that's kind of like, well, let's see where the fates take us. But I feel like, no, we're choosing more consciously. If I throw out that line and it catches something, is that what I actually truly want in my life? Does that align with where I feel I am going? Maybe we don't know at this point where it is we're going. Maybe we're not even that far in the process. But if you're not, and you're in that muddled confusion and not sure, or you're second guessing what you're doing, trust that it's temporary, that this state of uncertainty is part of the process to clarity. Because I feel like clarity is coming, and that's what this spring card is talking about. So underneath that card, we have Erdarbron. And I know I said that wrong. My apologies. But it is regarding decision, performance, and impact. And there it is. It's interesting that there's 3 people standing in the doorway. This reminds me of the 3 of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite, because there's 3 people standing underneath like a foundation. So this is telling me, or it feels to me, that it also reminds me of the Tower, to be honest with you. So a couple things happening there. It is about creating something new from wisdom, from a wiser place, a more emotionally mature place. I want to say that because it's, again, right next to that 3 of Swords. And we got the 3 people, 3 of Swords. Tells me that we're supported. So friends, community, people, mentors, people that are close to us that we trust, who can help give us some insight. I'm feeling that whatever it is that we are looking into, or shooting, those little threads of energy into our future, and what we are considering as options in that decision-making process, I feel like we're being called to dream bigger, less limitation, bigger, go bigger, stepping outside of the fear. And then again, circling back around to, well, why can't I think bigger? What is stopping me from going bigger? Fear of being seen, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of change. What will I have to do? What growth will I have to experience? And more fears in that process to get to that big goal or big dream if you think much bigger for yourself. So all those little things to consider. But that's what we're being asked to do here. Okay, so clarifying cards for this reading. We have Beneath the Surface, Hidden Truth, Something Unknown. This came up at the end of the row with the moon, the tower, and the ruler of fears. Again, the placement of the card couldn't have been placed any place better. Hidden truth, something unknown. So that's really confirming everything else that I was talking about here. So the rumblings of the change of some subconscious structures, I want to say, that we have been operating from. That's the rumbling. They're starting to come up to the surface like an earthquake is rumbling and everything is coming up. Or in this case, oh, my light just went out. Speaking of earthquakes, that was interesting. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, keep on going. So is the iceberg turning over? I'm not sure, but definitely things are coming to the surface. Following that, we have co-create and higher power. This is in a row with the Chariot, the World, and Frey, spring and new beginnings. So again, co-creating with your higher power, tapping into your guidance, whatever that is for you. Stepping into your higher truth as you create. And then finally, as you create your future. So again, staying in alignment with what aligns with your passion, joy, integrity. Stepping out of complacency, even contentment. Because we can't stop changing and growing, because stagnation is the result of that. If we stop changing and growing, stagnation will then lead to choices that don't support us in the best way, perhaps depression, anxiety. Yeah. So finally, the very final card in this reading is New Moon in Sagittarius, focus on the positive. So wherever you, I'm so sorry. I hope you can see that. I don't know why my light went out. That's strange. Huh. It is what it is, right? So focusing on the positive. So wherever you are right now, this is at the end of the row going across way. Actually, right here, you can see this in the camera. That starts with the Five of Wands. So that uncertainty, that uncomfortable feeling, and then remembering, but then recognizing that you're not the role that you believe yourself to be in those stories. Just take the lesson, the experience, and turn it into something positive, right? So that's keeping a positive focus. And then even in the decision making and sending out those feelers, check in with yourself that you're not like, oh, that won't work, or no, yeah, you know, and catch yourself with that. I'm guilty of it too. Stay positive. How do you know? Can you jump into the future and know something is doomed to fail? No, because there's so many factors involved that we can't know. As soon as we make that intention and that decision, and then we begin to act on it when the time is right, the universe will support us, and it will bring in people and situations and opportunities to support us in their path because we're taking action in that direction. So I think this reading has gone on long enough. We're just a few seconds over half an hour. If you're still here, thanks for hanging out with me and getting through the whole thing. But I think the main message is here to remain positive if things seem a little dark or you're feeling stuck or that uncertainty, that, the change, you feel the change coming, you just don't know what it is. Just come back to stillness. Trust that, this is temporary. It's just the part of the bigger rhythm, right? The seasons, the cycles. There's that world card. Good reminder in spirit saying, I gotcha. You're not alone in this. None of us are alone. Let's work together. Let's create something exciting. And, this is a new moon reading, and this is a new moon card. So this is the perfect time to work with this moon wisdom keeper. I'm talking wisdom here, right? With these lessons. So acknowledging what you know, giving yourself a pat on the back for making it this far, knowing that you will continue to be supported as we move forward, taking that wisdom with us so we can trust each step we make, that we're not going to repeat an undesirable situation or experience for ourselves. And then when you're just feeling like you're just, I don't know, again, come back to what's blocking that. What belief are you holding? That fear. There's the fear. It's that part of you that wants to protect you. So dive into that. And sometimes it is simply just trusting and taking that leap of faith, doing it anyways. Because if you don't, we're not going to get anywhere. We will remain stuck. We will remain in that, uncertainty. We're not stepping into that more aligned aspect of ourselves as we move forward, getting in our own way, basically. Okay, I'm just going to stop it there. Thank you so much. I'm rambling now. So please take care of yourself. I'll be back in a couple weeks with the full moon reading. And until then, please be well and be gentle with yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. Breathe and know that you got this. Okay. Signing off. Bye for now.